Hello and welcome to the Out of Frame Behind the Scenes podcast, a podcast where we talk about the intersection between art, culture, and big ideas. I'm your host, Paul Nelson, filling in for Sean Malone. But as always, I am joined by Jen Mafasanti, the Libertas Director of Communications. How are you doing, Jen?
I'm hanging in there,
Hanging
getting
in. You're
some
like,
quality family time lately. It's been nice.
oh, nice. Are you like the cat poster? Hanging in there?
Yeah, hanging in there.
Yeah.
Like I'm a third grade teacher right now with cat posters just everywhere.
I mean, that's the only way to really roll into this. And speaking of rolling in, today we're going to talk about Paw Patrol, the movie.
The movie.
This is what everyone has been clamoring for, is a movie about the Paw Patrol. And, cards on the table. Jen picked last week's movie. If you want to see if you missed that episode, go back, check it out. We had a hoot. We had a blast. This week, it was my pick. So guess what I picked? Paw Patrol. And I do not regret it one bit. And we will get into that a little bit later. Jen, are your sons, were they too old for Paw Patrol?
They were just a little bit too old to really appreciate Paw Patrol when it first became a thing. So thankfully, I missed most of the Paw Patrol inundation as a parent. Okay. I never had to buy any of that officially licensed merchandise. Never had to deal with my children requesting that we name our actual dog after one of the dogs in the show. Nothing like that. So, I kind of went into this movie with very fresh eyes. Like, I'm not just dead tired of Paw Patrol already. So, there you go.
I'm coming to this from the complete opposite. My sons love Paw Patrol. We have acquired sets of these officially licensed merchandise toy things. I have stepped on many a Paw Patrol dog figurines. And
is it worse than a Lego, or is like about the same level as a
so
Lego?
Lego is that's the top pain.
Top tier. Yeah.
Paw Patrol is maybe a level under that, but the problem is some of them have pointy ears. So it's not like a Lego, you're going to step on it, it's going to hurt regardless. Paw Patrol, you might get Rubble who has floppy ears. You're fine. But if you get one with the pointy ears, then not a good time. Not a good time. Nope. So let's dive on into Paw Patrol, the movie. Jen, can you give us a synopsis of this movie?
All right. So the Paw Patrol lives and works in Adventure Bay, which is kind of a sleepy little town, but weird things happen, like big rigs falling off the side of bridges because they were swerving to avoid a very weird sea turtle. Very weird. That's not how sea turtles work, but okay, it's fine. It's fine. It's like we've got talking dogs. Why not a sea turtle crossing a suspension bridge? It's fine. So there's that. And when you're in trouble, you don't call the police, you call the Paw Patrol. So that's our setup. And then disaster strikes. A terrible, terrible politician is elected mayor of Adventure City, which is, I guess, New York.
Basically.
And basically New York. So, really, really bad guy who's a cat person is elected mayor there and starts doing terrible things. And the only solution to this problem is to bring the Paw Patrol from Adventure Bay, sleepy small town, to the big city to fix all the problems. to rescue people and be fine, upstanding citizens, because we're all responsible for making our city better, and that involves puppies.
Puppies and technology and merchandise.
And merchandise.
the reason why I honestly really wanted to talk about this movie is John Miltimore, our colleague who does just fabulous work for us at Fee. He wrote an article about it, and it's titled "Paw Patrol Might Be the Most Libertarian Kids Movie Ever." And I had watched this movie with my kids, and it was before this article came out. And I went in expecting, because most content, movies, TV, whatever that is out today, especially for kids, usually has a bent one way, and it never goes the way that, I would particularly like. And so I was waiting for the other shoe to drop the entire time. Never happened. And the credits roll, and I'm thinking, wait, did the dog that was named Liberty just save the day from a meddling politician that wasn't elected legally? What is going on in this world? What did I just watch? Did Q just get the control of the is Q actually the director of this movie? I'm just like, what is going on? I feel like I was taking crazy pills.
Yeah, no, for all of my delivery of the synopsis, this was actually not a terrible movie, especially from like a G-rated little kids movie perspective. Like, most of those are just parents, you just suffer through it. Okay, it's
Kids
not
are quiet
for
for a
you.
couple hours.
It's not for you. It's for the kids, and that's fine. That content exists for a reason, and honestly, I appreciate it. But it's not really for the parents. This one, I didn't hate. I wasn't miserable and checking my watch the entire hour and 20 minutes that it lasted. It was funny. Even my 10-year-olds enjoyed it. We watched it together, and it was impressive from that standpoint. Like, it's not going to win any Oscars. Let's be real here, but it was pretty good.
Yeah, and it had some really surprising themes that when you think about it, it's like, oh, that's pretty libertarian. So the first one, I think I alluded to this already, but Mayor Humdinger, who is normally the villain for most of these shows, he somehow decides to go to Adventure City to become the mayor. He takes care of his opponent. I'm not sure what that means.
Did he murder a man?
It was strongly alluded to that at the very least, there was shenanigans at play. So he won the election somehow, and because he was the only candidate on the ballot. Right, because the other candidate,
his opponent dropped out.
Right.
Dropped out.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink, yes.
And Mayor Humdinger, he is, like most politicians, very, very smug, very sure of himself. And he is upset that his big fireworks display is being ruined by all the rain. And so he finds out that he has some scientists that have some funding from the city, not all of their funding, but some, and enough. He goes to them and pressures them, not just with, you give me the control of this device to suck up the weather so we can have the fireworks, but he also threatens to pull their funding.
Oh no, he threatens to shut down the entire university.
And it took me, I was like, wait, what? I mean, this happens all the time in real life. This is how the federal government gets most states to do things. It's like, if you don't enact
we'll pull your funding
laws,
if you don't.
You won't get highway funds. All right. So that's very true to life. That happens quite a bit. So the scientists reluctantly give away the control to this weather machine, And so in the background for the next 45 minutes of the movie, there's this weather machine that's just a ticking time bomb, sucking up all this rainy weather just because he wants to have a firework display go right, because he wants to celebrate himself and all of his tremendous accomplishments, which is pretty on the nose for a lot of politicians nowadays. And so as the story progresses, there's actually a pretty interesting story between Ryder and Chase, who's the police dog who was actually born in Adventure City but was abandoned there. Ryder found him, brought him to the Paw Patrol, so he had to deal with all of that baggage, which is actually pretty touching.
Yeah.
It was surprisingly touching and really actually very sweet.
It was shockingly emotional. Yeah.
Pretty good story. And of course, they're introducing all new rides, all new toys, merchandising opportunities. It's fantastic. I'm sure they'll show up at Christmas time in the Nelson household. And I kind of look forward to it because they were pretty cool. The cop car was pretty cool. And so
I actually, just as an aside, like moving away from the synopsis here, just a touch, when they get to Adventure City and the Paw Patrol gets installed in like its fancy new building with all these fancy new toys and technology and like the updated treat dispenser and all of that good stuff. One of the dogs very smartly asks, "How are we paying for all of this?" And Ryder 100% pulls out a Paw Patrol t-shirt and says, "Officially licensed merchandise. This stuff sells like hotcakes." And I just loved it. It was a great little nod to the reality of Paw Patrol. I just loved it.
Just shorter answer would be capitalism. That's how we're paying for this. Ryder's a dirty capitalist. And so the story progresses. We got the weather machine going, and the mayor doesn't just want to stop at that. He doesn't want to just celebrate himself. He also wants to change the way the subway and metro lines work because they weren't exciting enough, if I'm remembering correctly.
Unclear.
He decided to add in loop-de-loops.
Like it's a roller coaster or something.
Because he thought people would love him because he thought roller coasters were fun. So let's just do this. Obviously, that's not a good idea. So the Paw Patrol has to save the day. But Mayor Humdinger gets away with it and just gets off scot-free. It's kind of just dropped. Surprise! I mean, it's again, another pulling from the headlines. A politician gets away with something that probably would have killed somebody if it wasn't a kid's movie, but just gets away with it. And so the story continues to get closer to the fireworks show. That's kind of the main end piece. But in the meantime, we find out that Mayor Humdinger has opened a gulag for dogs. Oh, I mean, they don't call it a gulag, but it's a gulag.
Oh, get this. It started as like a doggy training school. So it was just, for re-education, right? But now the dogs can't leave.
It is. I'm sitting there kind of just stunned, honestly, that this was in a movie in 2021, a kid's movie, that they were just going all the way. And I don't know if was this intentional. We'll talk about that later, but I was shocked. There was a gulag, a re-education camp in Paw Patrol, and it was full of dogs, and the cats were running the city. And so the only way that the Paw Patrol was able to save the day was a new dog from Adventure City whose name was Liberty.
Liberty was the missing ingredient for Paw Patrol in this movie. She was what they really needed to save the day, was Liberty.
It's beautiful. It almost brings a tear to my eye. Just the masterpiece that is Paw Patrol the movie. So naturally, the dogs save the day after Liberty breaks out all the dogs from the gulag. That I'm saying these words, I'm just surprised. And the dogs, obviously save the city from the fireworks because the weather machine goes crazy. They save countless hundreds of thousands of people's lives because buildings are starting to collapse because of this, how bad this storm is. And, we didn't really touch on this, but it's one, the Mayor Humdinger pulled the funding, but the idea that he could control the weather, how stupid that is. And I'm just like, wait, we're doing this? And then
he gets absolutely punched in the mouth by these unintended consequences that only a very small minority of people warned about. They're like, if you do this, it's gonna be bad. And he's like, nonsense.
I can control the climate. Anyway.
Exactly.
I'm like, are they just reading fee.org articles? I
mean, it sounds like it, right?
I was shocked. And what was funny is I had these thoughts and I'm thinking, am I crazy? I thought I was a little crazy because all of these parallels that we have already drawn, it was plain as day. It was not hidden like in some subtext. It's not like my review of the Tomorrow War where I created a whole backstory to make this movie good.
That didn't exist.
This was just right there, and it's just right in front of you, and it just shocked me. And then
let's also not forget that the Paw Patrol themselves are not government actors.
That's a great point.
They're a private entity.
They are
rescuing people.
The Cajun Navy.
They are the Cajun Navy.
It's beautiful. It is beautiful.
It's so great.
And so I was thinking about this movie more than I thought I ever would, honestly. I just kind of assumed it would be a longer version of the normal show, which is, it's fine. It's fine. It's not the worst kids show that I have had to watch. It is not. It's not Peppa Pig.
It's not Caillou.
We're not even saying those words in our household.
Sorry.
Yeah, because some of these shows, it's just you turn it on once and it's just clicks for these kids. Like, I'm going to watch every single piece of content about this person ever.
Forever.
On loop. So, Paw Patrol is not that bad, but it really left me thinking much. It's like, am I reading too much into this? Are we reading too much into this movie, Jen?
I mean, probably. But maybe not. Because all of these things are out there, plain as day, in front of God and everyone, as my father would say. Like, it's just, they're not hiding it. They're not trying to be subtle. It's right there. We got a corrupt politician who uses the coercive force of government to appropriate something that he does not understand and use it in ways that was never meant to be used, despite warnings that there will be unintended consequences. And then the unintended consequences happen. And it's really the everyday citizens of Adventure City that are hurt by these things. And it is private actors who come in to help them solve those problems, not the government. I mean, there's not anything to read into. It's there.
I mean, who had it on their 2021 bingo card that Paw Patrol the movie be the most libertarian movie of the year and maybe all time?
Not me.
I'm shocked. And I'm so glad that
this is why central planning doesn't work.
I'm so thankful that John wrote this article because I felt like I think I'm just taking crazy pills. I don't think I saw what I actually saw. And then John wrote that article and I messaged him right away. I was like, okay, I'm glad I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one. So please go read that article. It's a great
and watch the movie before Paw Patrol gets canceled. Like,
they're trying. I mean, Chase is obviously a police dog, so that's not acceptable. Can't have that. Nope. So this got us to thinking. Got me to thinking mainly. I kind of sprung this on Jen 5 minutes before we started recording, so got me thinking. What are some of our favorite libertarian movies of all time? And if you want to go kids, libertarian movies, that's fine. I'll leave it up to you. But Jen, do you have a list? I won't make you rank them like we did in the supporters section,
Okay.
but just a list of your favorite libertarian movies of all time.
Oh yeah, for sure. We'll go with Ants. Ants is a really good movie. It's all about individualism and breaking free from the collective to do what you know that you need to do and ultimately save the day. So there's that. We've also got Ghostbusters is obviously another classic libertarian movie. And I just rewatched it not too long ago with my children. And it is still just so great with its comedy. I love it so much. And the libertarian themes in it are real subtle. And that makes it all the more impactful. Let's see here. What else did I say? Goodness. I lost like half of my list in my brain because that's how I am. Serenity is another really good one. That is the sort of movie finale to the TV show Firefly, which was shockingly libertarian itself. So let's throw that one in there. Help me out. What did I say? Where's some other ones?
You got Dallas Buyers Club.
Oh yes, Dallas Buyers Club, 100%. I love being mad at the FDA for just like so many reasons.
What'd you do this weekend? I was being mad at the FDA.
Honestly, it's a hobby of mine. So I do that in my free time. Like, you don't even have to pay me to be mad at the FDA. I just do that for fun. But that movie is extremely libertarian, and it does have a very important message about how damaging it is to people when federal regulation, healthcare regulation, cannot keep up with the reality on the ground. In fact, we did an out of frame short on Dallas Buyers Club. And when I watched that movie for the first time, it's brilliantly acted. First off, Michael McConaughey is just breathtaking in that movie. But I got to the end, the credits started to roll, and I just paused the movie and just had myself a cry because that is life for so many people, even today, despite the fact that it's set in like the early 90s, I want to say, late 80s, early 90s. Like that stuff hasn't stopped. It's just no longer HIV and AIDS patients.
Right.
Like the FDA kills people just by omission.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah. Thankfully, we've had some legislation, the right to try legislation that was passed a couple years ago that hopefully it will help some people, but it is infuriating. And I think another pretty big case right now is just at-home COVID rapid tests. They're available in most other societies like ours, but not here because they're still being approved by the FDA. So,
like, it's ridiculous.
Not great. No, that's a pretty good list. I would agree with most of those. I mean, all of them, honestly, but not all of them made my. And I of course, you guys know this. I ranked mine of my personal favorites because that's what I do.
Obviously.
I love to court controversy about very trivial things.
And that's what I appreciate about you, Paul.
So I have 7. These are my top 7 favorite libertarian movies of all time. Number 7, the direct competitor to your Ant movie. It's my Ant movie, A Bug's Life. I mean, it's basically the same thing.
I mean, fair.
This is Pixar's version. Yep. Number 6, The Incredibles. One of the great lines in hit movie history: "If everyone's special, no one is." Pretty self-explanatory. Number
Yep.
5, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. Just
Oh yeah.
shows the power of corruption and just how corrupt that system is. Our system. This one might be surprising to some people. South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. It's funny. It makes fun of the people that just, I mean, I can't really talk about anything that's in that movie, but it's, if you know the creator's history, it all adds up. Number 3,
The real ones know.
The real ones know. Number 3, this was on your list as well, Dallas Buyers Club. It was such a powerful movie, and I'm just glad it was a story that's been able to have been told, because it's, like you said, it's not just contained to that specific group of people. It's a lot of people that the FDA is actively harming just by doing nothing. Number 2, you said this is already, Ghostbusters. It's usually always on the top list of, the EPA basically tries to kill everyone. Surprise, surprise. And number 1, this is probably the most surprising one, but it's by far the best one. And that's Star Wars. And you can really just pick any of them, but it is at its core a struggle between good and evil, and the evil is a nationalized version of an empire throughout a entire galaxy, and individual actors are trying to take them out. Now, obviously, it's not necessarily anything peaceful. The rebels do end up killing a lot of people, but it is at its core a story about the dangers of nationalization. So there you have it. Those are the definitive rankings of the best libertarian. And there's so many more. And
Oh yeah.
there's actually surprising quite a few. And to me, it's not that surprising, because a good story at its core is good versus evil. And the hero has to overcome something. And the thing about libertarianism is that it's obviously a very individual focused philosophy. And we have a saying at FEE, be your own hero. And I personally believe everyone is their own hero. You have your own story. You have your own obstacles you have to overcome. You can be your own hero. You don't have to wait for the government or a politician to save you. You can save yourself. You can help someone else save themselves too. And it also might not just be like life or death. It might just be starting your own business. That's also being your own hero. So there's a ton. That's just the best stories, are those kind of stories where somebody is faced up against huge odds and they have to overcome them without any help from anybody else. So that's why libertarian movies are the best.
Absolutely. And I don't disagree with any of the inclusions on your list. I mean, those are all very strong contenders, and there's a lot more that we haven't named. And I find it very weird that so many movies that get made do have, libertarian themes to them, whether they're strong or extremely subtle. And yet the people who make those movies are so vehemently opposed to that philosophy being put into practice. It seems very incongruous to me, and it's weird.
Yeah, it happens all the time. You think about a movie like A Quiet Place. I don't know if John Krasinski, what his political, I don't care, but that's a very pro-life movie. It's a very pro-individual movie. Arrival is a very pro-life movie. If you guys know the story of that movie, she sees the aliens show her future, and she still decides to have that kid. That's, I know they probably didn't mean it to be a pro-life movie, but it's pretty pro-life. That's not just, I know a lot of libertarians do not say pro-life is whatever. Well, I don't want to get into that right now. So with that, I think, Jen, do you have closing thoughts on Paw Patrol, the movie?
I mean, I don't imagine the non-parents are going to go out of their way to watch this movie, but I think maybe you probably should and just kind of keep this one in your pocket for those kids in your life because it's surprisingly entertaining and it has a great message.
Yeah.
Go for it.
I'd agree with everything that Jen has to say. Obviously, it's easier to watch this if you have kids in at that age range. It'd be kind of weird, like, what are you doing tonight? Oh, I'm watching Paw Patrol just by myself. It's a little weird, but this. If you're interested in these ideas, and it's really not a bad movie, give it a watch. And at the very least, if you don't want to watch it, go read John Miltimore's article over on fee.org. I'm sure we could probably get it linked in the description on YouTube. It's a great article, and it pretty much distills down a lot of great scenes. And also, it talks about just this idea of overreading everything, which we just spent this last episode doing. But it's actually a pretty good, interesting insight onto just that idea in our culture at large. So definitely go give that a read. But with that, thank you so much for watching. As always, we're going to have a after behind the scene. What are we? The supporter section. The supporter section.
There you go.
I got there. We're going to have a supporter section after this. So if you are a patron or a subscribed star supporter, join us there. And if you're not, stop, go do it. And then you could come back and listen to us talk more about and answer some of your questions that you guys have sent in. But thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.